Farmer's Delight is a mod that expands upon farming and cooking in Minecraft. Using a simple cooking system and a few familiar ingredients, you'll be able to prepare a wide variety of meals. There's also new tools and ways to improve the soil that crops are grown in, as well as a ton of other features. So, let's begin. This mod does not have a guidebook of any sort, however all of the guidance needed for the base structure of the mod can be learned through the advancements page. There are also many add-ons that make food from other mods compatible with Farmer's Delight, but for this video I will just be focusing on the base mod. For the recipes of the mod as well as all other mods, I can recommend as always to have just enough items installed. Farmer's Delight introduces a few new status effects to Minecraft. When consuming meals contained in bowls, players will be given the Comfort effect for a varying amount of time. Comfort allows the player to maintain natural regeneration even if they're too hungry to do so normally. This is indicated by a silver sheen scrolling over the health bar. When consuming meals contained in plates, players will be given the Nourishment effect for a varying amount of time. Nourishment prevents players from losing hunger or saturation through exhausting actions such as running, jumping, and attacking mobs. This effectively extends the hunger bar beyond its saturation limit, delaying the time before players need to eat again. This effect fully negates the hunger effect due to being its polar opposite. The effect will only pause itself when players take damage and can spend saturation to regenerate health. This means players can spend their hunger bar up until it stops healing them, around 1.5 missing hunger points. But no further than that. This allows players to eat something else to keep healing, but won't let them starve to death until the effect wears off. All crops, both from this mod and in vanilla, now spawn in nature as wild crops. Wild crops will spawn occasionally in nature, in different biomes and in different climates. Since they're wild, a patch may not be very edible or fruitful, but will usually yield a single seed or plantable item when broken. Rarely, seed-bearing wild crops may drop a unit of edible produce. You can also shear the patch to relocate it as decoration. If bone meal is used in a wild crop, it will multiply in the vicinity a bit, allowing players to obtain more of them. Wild rice, however, will occasionally drop duplicates, similar to other tall flowers. Wild crops can be found in the following location. In beaches there is wild cabbage and sea beet. In cold climates there is wild potato. In temperate climates there is wild onion and wild carrot. In arid climates there is tomato vines. In swamps and jungles there is wild rice. Village houses may also contain samples of the new crops in chests. Compost heaps are houses dedicated to treating and processing a pile of organic compost, made from organic leftovers, straw, and dirt. Given enough sunshine and moisture, this mixture will eventually become a valuable farming resource known as rich soil. Rich soil is an enhanced type of dirt. It's more fertile and it's more durable to the elements. Rich soil cannot be directly crafted. To make it, you must craft organic compost and place it into the world, letting it decompose over time. Organic compost will decompose more easily under sunlight and moisture from nearby water, but doesn't actually hydrate like farmland. It can also be gently accelerated by placing activators next to it in a 3x3 area centered on itself. Currently, the following blocks behave as activators for organic compost: brown and red mushrooms and their colonies, podzol and mycelium, other blocks of organic compost, rich soil, normal or tilled. When any growable plant is placed on rich soil, its growth will be randomly boosted, similar to the usage of bone meal. Rich soil can be tilled into rich farmland through the use of hoes. Rich farmland is immune to mob trampling and won't unravel to melons or pumpkins, but requires hydration in order to boost the crops. Mushrooms planted on rich soil under sufficient darkness will eventually form a mushroom colony. Such colonies will grow from 2 to 5 mushroom caps over time, dropping them when harvested. For a mushroom colony to grow, a red or brown mushroom must be planted on rich soil while under sufficient darkness for mushrooms to be plantable in any block, like level 12 or below. After a while, the single mushroom will transform into a colony. Colonies grow between 2 to 5 mushrooms over time, but can't get boosted by the rich soil they're planted on. They can be broken with any tool to harvest all caps grown so far, or broken with shears to obtain the entire colony as an item. Shears can also clip individual caps when used against a colony, always leaving 2 caps behind. The knife is a new category of tool/weapon aimed at preparing ingredients and foraging resources from plants and animals. Knives are tiered tools, much like pickaxes and swords, but they cannot be made out of wood or stone. The weakest knife available is the flint knife. Knives work as a hybrid between a tool and weapon. As a weapon, it swings faster than a sword while dealing weaker strikes. They have a slightly inferior damage per second than swords, but can pressure an opponent more often through a shorter knockback. Knives are effective mining tools for the following types of blocks: cakes and pies, all wool blocks, cobwebs, straw-based blocks. Knives have the ability to cleanly forage resources from harvested plants and slain animals. When killing animals, their secondary drop is guaranteed to drop at least once. For example, killing a cow with a knife transforms the odds of 0 to 2 leather into 1 to 3 leather. Pigs in particular have a chance to drop ham when slain with a knife, with chances affected by looting. Hoglins are guaranteed to drop 1 ham when scavenged, with looting increases the odds of getting 2 units. When harvesting grassy plants like tall grass, wheat and rice, it may collect straw, which is a useful crafting material. Harvesting crops guarantees a unit of straw, but tall grass only has a small chance of dropping it. When combined with a cutting board, knives allow players to portion and process ingredients primarily for cooking. Rice panicles can be manually sliced open to retrieve both the rice grain and a unit of straw. Certain food ingredients can be chopped into portions together with bone meal from their bones. Food portions have exactly half the nourishment of the full piece, but are twice as efficient when used to prepare meals, as they can substitute a full piece in the recipe. Knives are able to receive the following enchantments: Sharpness, Smite, Bane of Arthropods, Knockback, Fire Aspect, Looting, Efficiency, Unbreaking, and Mending. Knives also have an exclusive enchantment called Backstabbing. This 3-level enchantment multiplies the damage dealt when striking targets from behind by 1.4x, 1.8x, and 2.2x respectively. It stacks with standard damage increasing enchantments, allowing for extreme damage on unsuspecting players and mobs. The cutting board is a workstation where players can break down one item into many outputs by using a valid tool on it. Items can be placed on the cutting board by using them on it. It always prefers receiving items from the offhand, allowing players to hold their ingredients there while holding the tool in their main hand. Processing the stack simply by holding the use button. When the correct tool is used on a valid item, it will be broken down into 1 to 4 different outputs, which are swiped sideways. Outputs always fly to the direction opposite to the cutting board's handle, allowing them to be collected by an item capturing block, such as a hopper or a basket. The tool receives 1 point of damage for each processed item. By default, Farmer's Delight adds certain types of recipes for the following tool categories. Knives are for food portioning and processing. Pickaxes are for splitting brick blocks back into individual bricks. Axes are for stripping wood for its bark, salvaging furniture. Shovels are for digging out clay balls and from clay blocks. Shears are for salvaging leather items. Certain tools and weapons can also be carved into the board's surface for display too. To do so, sneak and right-click the board with a tool. Currently, it only works with tools and weapons. The cooking pot is a workstation where you can prepare and store a large amount of meals. In order to prepare meals, the pot must be heated by the block underneath it. This is indicated by boiling bubbles, steam, and a campfire icon in the pot's interface. Heat sources include the following: fire and soul fire, lava, magma block, campfire and soul campfire, and a stove. The cooking pot has an interface similar to a crafting table, with a few key differences. It has 6 slots to add ingredients and 1 slot to add containers. Prepared meals will also appear into the pot-shaped slot, where they're stored until a suitable container is inserted, taking 1 serving from the pot. If the prepared meal lacks a container, it will drop straight to output. You can see which container the meal is served on by hovering the cursor over it. If an ingredient has container, e.g. milk bottle or tomato sauce, such container will be ejected from the pot's top side when the recipe is done cooking. Ingredient containers will always be thrown opposite to the wooden spoon and can be captured by hoppers, baskets, and similar. Meals on average are prepared over the course of 10 seconds, with simpler ones such as cooked rice preparing in 5 seconds. Hoppers and similar blocks from other mods can transfer items through the cooking pot. Meals that require a container will be held inside the pot, stacking up to 64 servings, regardless of the item's maximum stack limit. The pot can be mined, carried and placed down, keeping all stored meals inside, similar to a shulker box. However, all other slots will drop their contents when the pot is mined. This allows players to carry a large amount of foods that would otherwise occupy too much space in their inventory, such as mushroom stew. Players can take servings by either adding containers through the cooking pot's interface or right-clicking the pot directly with a valid container. The skillet is a weapon and a portable food cooking station, which can be operated by hand or as a block. Skillets can process any campfire cooking recipe, taking roughly 20% of the original time to cook each item, by default 6 seconds for most recipes. It has 2 modes of operation. When a player is wielding a skillet close to any heat sources, they'll be able to cook any valid items in their opposite hand by holding the use button. This takes just as long as the block mode operation. Processed items are put in the player's inventory or dropped if there's not enough space. Players are able to operate the skillet by hand at any location if they're currently on fire. Players can sneak use the skillet to place it down as a block. If placed above a valid heat source, it will be able to cook food items placed on it. The block form can hold onto a single stack of items, dropping them to the right side when finished, requiring an item catcher to collect the items. Hoppers or baskets are recommended. Skillets can be quickly mined by hand. The block will remember all of the item's traits, such as names, enchantments, etc. Skillets can be used as a heavyweight melee weapon. They deal slightly less damage than an iron axe and have the same swing speed, but also possess higher knockback on each hit, roughly 2 times as much. Their durability is the same as any iron tool. Skillets can receive the same enchantments that a sword can, with the exception of Sweeping Edge. Fire Aspect will increase the skillet's cooking speed slightly per level, for both handheld and block modes. As a block, a heated Fire Aspect skillet will emit magic particles to indicate this. The stove is a direct upgrade to the campfire's cooking features, and a suitable heat source for the cooking pot. To add items to the grill, simply right-click the stove when it has no objects blocking its top face. Stoves detect campfire recipes to cook, meaning they usually also take 30 seconds to fully prepare items. Stoves cannot be automated through item transferring blocks, e.g. hoppers, but require no fuel to cook items, much like a campfire. Stoves can hold 6 items on its grill and will gently pop cooked outputs above its surface instead of throwing them around. If the middle of the stove's grill is obstructed by any block, such as a closed trapdoor or a cooking pot, all foods on the grill will be flung away and the stove will be able to receive ingredients until the obstruction is removed. Stoves can be put out using shovels or buckets of water and reignited with flint and steel. Using a knife on grassy plants will yield straw. This is a useful building and composting material. Early on, it's best used to craft some ropes. The rope is a climbable, deployable block made from straw. Ropes are intangible but climbable blocks behaving in a similar way to vines and ladders. To climb them, simply hold jump while touching it. When placing rope, you can use more ropes against the first one to deploy them downward. This will continuously extend a column of rope down to the bottom most Y level possible, allowing for easy and controllable descents into chasms, ravine, or from high locations. To suppress rope deployment, simply sneak while placing it. If there's no space underneath to deploy, it will also place normally. If a bell is directly above a column of up to 24 ropes, these ropes can be right-clicked to ring the bell. The rope directly under the bell will visually connect to it. Ropes can be used instead of string and slime to craft a single lead or woven into a safety net. The basket is a container that can capture dropped items through its open side, like a hopper. Baskets can be placed facing any of the 6 cardinal directions and will even work upside down. Items colliding with its open face will be captured and stored in its inventory. It has the same inventory size as a chest or barrel, but lacks the ability to actively transfer items between blocks, such as extracting from or inserting into adjacent inventories. They have a similar capture cooldown to hoppers and can be similarly disabled with a redstone signal. When waterlogged, a basket will fully contain the water within itself, only letting it flow out of its open side. The waterlogged basket will still count as a block of water, allowing for safe crop hydration. Feasts are very large meals which can be placed as a block to provide multiple servings to players. Farmer's Delight introduces the following feasts. There's the roast chicken, stuffed pumpkin, honey glazed ham, shepherd's pie, and rice roll medley. Feasts are not edible directly as an item, they must be placed down as a block first. When placed, players can use right click with a bowl to serve themselves with a consumable portion. The existing feasts in Farmer's Delight provides 4 servings in total. Plated feasts will also leave behind leftovers in the form of a dirty plate. Right-clicking or mining it will retrieve the original bowl and any bones or food scraps left behind. Farmer's Delight provides a few types of drinks for players to make. They behave as early game effect givers before unlocking potions. Milk bottles can be used on most recipes that require a bucket of milk. They stack up to 16, making them easier to store and more versatile as a crafting ingredient. When consumed, it will remove a single random effect from the player, positive or negative. This allows players to carry 16 cures in one slot, but they cannot guarantee which effect will be removed. Hot cocoa is made by brewing a bottle of milk with 2 cocoa beans and a piece of sugar. When consumed, it will remove a single random negative effect from the player, keeping positive ones untouched. Made by brewing 2 whole apples with some sugar, apple cider provides a minute of absorption 1 to the consumer. Made with sugar and 4 melon slices, melon juice heals 1 heart or 2 HP instantly when it's consumed. Farmer's Delight introduces a handful of meals you can prepare specifically for your tamed pets to eat. When fed to any tamed wolf, dog food will fully heal the wolf and grant them the following positive effects: speed for 5 minutes, strength for 5 minutes, and resistance for 5 minutes. When fed to any tamed mount, horses, donkeys, mules, llamas, etc., horse feed will fully heal the mount and grant them the following positive effects: speed 2 for 5 minutes and jump boost for 5 minutes. Since mounts eat a large volume of feed, the item does not need to be contained in a bowl, saving some inventory space. Horse feed cannot be fed to pigs or striders as they are not tamed or cannot eat hay. And that will do it for the Farmer's Delight mod. The mod, as always, is available down in the description. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.